Hey guys, welcome to Manga Warehouse. Let's dive deep into today's chapter. Look at the martial arts again. Lu Shang saw a bright and mysterious vein star map. For a year, he couldn't remember how much different marrow fluid and how much high-energy substance he had absorbed. Anyway, the blood pill was congealed and shattered. The number of immortal cells keeps increasing and keeps increasing. Even after that, the energy required for each immortal cell to be born increases dramatically. Over the past year, the number of immortal cells in his body has also reached 183. 3 digits. 9 times as much as a year. Agile Stone novel. 22 immortal cells, igniting the fire of divinity, can kill Martial Saint. Now there are 183 immortal cells. To what extent can he achieve it? Lu Shang didn't know. He only knows. Under the same realm, even Wang He is far inferior to me and can't do this. Because Wang He has no stars that are immortal, his martial body has an upper limit, and it is impossible for a martial body of an 8th level sect to hold so many immortal cells. Massive amounts of divine power are piled up. If you don't break through, it will be directly cracked and burst. But I'm almost at the limit. It can accommodate about 300 immortal cells, which is probably the limit of the star's immortal body at the 8th level. Lu Shang now smashes the blood pill once, and the huge chi and blood flushes. The stimulating growth effect on the star's indestructible body has been minimal. The star pattern has spread all over his surface skin and flesh. If he wants to go further, he must enter the 9th level and use the power of the heaven and earth to break the shackles of the indestructible stage of the star. But level 9. Lu Shang frowned slightly. So far, he has not even been able to achieve the step of blending spirit, energy and spirit into one, let alone creating his own brand of martial arts and building a body of law. Mainly because he has accumulated too much in all aspects. It's like, you need 3 pieces of dough into 1 piece, and it's easy. But 3 steel balls are squeezed into 1. It takes a high temperature flame of tens of millions of degrees and a high pressure of 10,000 times to succeed. All in all. Pressure. I need pressure. Lu Shang's eyes flickered. Unparalleled pressure. Only under the unprecedented high-pressure battle can I complete this step. This pressure is not something that a mere extreme martial arts can do. Within a year, Lu Shang's abilities in all aspects had undergone earth-shaking changes. It is no exaggeration to say that it is reborn and reborn from the ashes. Even the sacred illumination of the Pluto Sutra has been practiced by him to a height of 90% of the increase in chi and blood. The last step is left until the flesh and blood increase is complete. This step can only be done after becoming a martial saint, because once he breaks through the 9th level, he suspects that his star will undergo a huge new transformation. Some parts will have to be reworked by then. It can be said that Lu Shang's polishing in all aspects is close to the extreme. It's time to prepare for the road to level 9. Just as Lu Shang was sorting out the harvest, his expression suddenly changed slightly. There were whispers of praise and prayers in his mind. Can't you hide it? His eyes flickered. With feedback from outside sources, he understood where Nepson was now. Well, it's time to go out. Lu Shang's expression was calm. During this year, under his brainwashing, Nepson completely became his personal fanatical believer. Do everything possible. He was deceived, and used all means and power to collect all kinds of resources for him. It can be said that Lu Shangning has such a harvest. Nepson. Great work. It's time for the pious Nepson, a dream of a god, to come to earth. Lu Shang's figure quickly faded in the dream space and disappeared. Boom. A number of alloy doors fell in front of him, and a brown-haired man rushed up and punched the alloy door fiercely. There was a loud bang, and a shallow fist mark was left on the door. Darn! The brown-haired man was full of energy and blood, and his face was ugly. Nepson activated the Institute's highest-level defense mechanism. Is he crazy? Zhao is the opposite. Lao Tzu is going to kill him alive. Behind him, a group of Zhongyin Wangyin, who had been deceived by Nepson, were so excited that they gnashed their teeth in hatred. Master Warner. Someone asked for the help of the leader. The red-haired man who led the team was expressionless and said, I'm going to apply for the highest permission right now. The adults will allow it. Thank you, Lord Warner. Cunning and greedy Nepson will pay the price. Surrounded by a strong man, the red-haired man turned around again. At the same time, on the Golden Circle Island, a ship was leaving the dock. The silver-haired woman who was standing on a tower somewhere and witnessed the scene with her own eyes lowered her head and quickly typed out a few words and sent them out. The news spanned countless distances in an instant and landed on a small island thousands of kilometers away from the Golden Circle. A dark-skinned man lying on the beach leisurely basking in the sun felt the vibration of his mobile phone and picked it up to check. A dark-skinned man lying on the beach leisurely basking in the sun felt the vibration of his mobile phone and picked it up to check. After reading it, the man showed a smile, took off his sunglasses, and said to an equally strong and tall white man beside him, Our little cutie has returned the news. Harold has taken his golden ring knights and set off towards the new energy crystal production area. The white man stood up, revealing a fair and handsome face, and his dark blue eyes were as deep and calm as the sea. Okay. Then we can also start to act. Beep. With the sound of a certain protection being lifted, the alloy walls covering the laboratory rose one by one. Lucia stood in front of the computer sweating profusely and turned her head in a panic. Teacher professor, the defense is gradually being lifted. Nepson turned a deaf ear, and still knelt down in front of the glass cultivation bin, staring enthusiastically at the stalwart body that was quietly suspended in the cultivation bin. Under Nepson's feet, there were scattered drug test tubes, resource storage boxes, and so on. In just half a day, he has put all of his all bet in the cultivation bin. Put all one's eggs in one basket. And the effect is obvious. The heartbeat that seemed to be absent before has become extremely obvious at this time. Boom boom dash the indescribably vigorous heartbeat became clearer and clearer, even shaking the air, causing many bottles and jars in the entire laboratory to tremble with the rhythm. God, wake up soon, my God. Tell the world the truth buried by time. Professor Nepson's face was full of piety, and he murmured in a low voice, like a prayer. Boom at this time, the last protective wall outside the laboratory also rose. It's over. Lucia helped her forehead helplessly, then turned her head helplessly and said to Nepson, Professor, the defense mechanism is completely disarmed. At this moment, nothing can stop the footsteps of outsiders from coming in. Although Lucia did not know exactly what Professor Nepson did. But thinking of the angry faces of Wang Yanzanji and adults seen in the video surveillance before, I know that it must not be a good thing. I hope the gods you believe in 613 can really protect you. Lucia said silently in her heart, expressing her deepest sympathy to Nepson. She was ready to see Professor Nepson being forcibly taken away by a group of people. But surprisingly, what Lucia waited for was not the many organizational masters who came in from outside the laboratory, but the flashing red light and the urgent alarm. There are defense mechanisms that are triggered again. The enemy has invaded, and the highest defense system has been activated. Boom, the alloy gate, which had just risen not long ago, fell again. Lucia was stunned for a moment, and before she could figure out what was going on, she heard Nepson's excited voice coming from behind. Lucia turned around hastily. Then the whole person's eyes widened and he was stunned. I saw that in the cultivation chamber, the pale golden liquid rapidly decreased in a vortex. The stalwart body was fully revealed. Options the next second, a pair of bright golden eyes suddenly opened. Boom! The cultivation warehouse shattered, a figure walked out of the training warehouse. Nepson knelt at the foot of the figure, lowered his old head deeply, and touched the floor with his forehead. He spoke softly in an excited and reverent tone. Great God, welcome your coming. Your light will eventually shine on the whole world. Lucia's body was stiff, her expression was stunned, her mind was blank, and only one thought was left to spin wildly. Holy crap, God, really resurrected. Boom! A figure fell like a meteor, smashing to the ground from mid-air. A deep pit was smashed directly into the hard reef, Ajfa, and a large piece of the reef collapsed. In the air, a figure like a demon stood. He was wearing a set of black ancient armor with two wings behind him. One resembles a bat and the other resembles an eagle. The expression of a middle-aged man with short red hair at the bottom changed slightly. He glanced at the flames and bursts of explosions in the distance, and couldn't help but say, Agars, your black demon society is really. Do you want to fight us? The man with wings on his back looked at him indifferently and shook his head slowly. Dear Ring Seal 6th King Seal Warner. This is not a war. This is slaughter. After speaking, the pupil of the man with short red hair shrank, and a figure with wings on his back quickly enlarged. Boom! Similar scenes are constantly happening on the small Golden Circle Island. The two masters of the Dark Star and the Black Demon Society simultaneously besieged the Golden Circle Island. In the absence of the first Divine Seal of the Ring Seal and many top King Seal Masters, the entire battle situation was almost one-sided. As Agars, the second demon god of the Dark Society, said this is not a fight, this is just a slaughter. At the same time, three figures stood on a luxury 5-story cruise ship, quietly admiring all this. A dark-skinned man in a floral shirt and big pants, with sunglasses, and a handsome white man in casual dress. Beside the two, the silver-haired woman who used to be the host speaker in the conference hall was respectfully beside them. You did a great job this time, Candace. The man in sunglasses smiled and said, wait for Harold to react and bring someone back. The entire Golden Circle Island has long been in ruins. You got what you wanted, Ray. The man in sunglasses raised the champagne in his hand and said loudly, cheers to our first cooperation between Dark Star and the Black Demon Society, as well as our long-term friendship in the future. The man called Lay squinted at him and said lightly, if you are willing to renegotiate the share, I will admit this friendship and toast with you. Ha, wasn't that a long time ago? You really like to joke. The man in sunglasses let out a ha, and finished drinking the wine by himself. The World Grandmaster competition is imminent, and it is time for another energy crystal quota. For them, the Martial Saint-level powerhouse, this is a big thing. During an operation in the Dragon Kingdom, the Black Demon Society lost more than half of its top elites. Instead of waiting for the big competition to be divided up by Huanin and Dark Star, it is better to strike first, and directly destroy Huanin first. The extra profit in Dark Star are 28 points, so not only can stop losses, but even make a small profit. As for the news about the origin of the new energy crystal from the Martial Saint level powerhouse Herald of the Ring Seal, they also took the initiative to release it. Get ready. The number one demon god Pillar Lay of the Black Demon Society said in a low voice, I can already feel the breath of Herald coming back. We will soon begin to meet his anger. The man in sunglasses twitched the corners of his mouth, revealing a few snow-white teeth. I cannot wait anymore. The man in sunglasses said with a smile, get ready to see Herald's old, frightened and angry face. The silver-haired woman next to her always bowed her head, with a respectful and humble attitude. Talking about being at the top of the pyramid of power on this planet. She is qualified to listen. It has been a great honor. What did you say this is? Nanjing? Lu Shang sat on a chair in the laboratory, playing with a small crystal that was translucent and had a trace of flocculent substance in his hand. Both Nepson and Lucia knelt before him, reverent and devout. Yes, this is a treasure that is enough to make even the 9th level martial arts experts go crazy. There is an unimaginable amount of energy in it, and a small one in the hand of an adult is enough to be worth a small nuclear reactor, Nepson explained quickly. There is such a thing. Lu Shang's eyes lit up slightly. At this time, he suddenly had the urge to immediately go to the dream space and search for the location of the energy crystal mine through the fire resource library. He had never come into contact with this kind of thing before, and he didn't know that the planet under his feet still contained such resources. Now that I know, the corresponding information in the dream space will not be hidden from him anymore, and the relevant information will definitely be searched. And it is such a small crystal that weighs less than 1 gram. The energy contained in it is even larger than the 9th level different marrow fluid. Just push the number of immortal cells in Lu Shang's body from 183 to 197 more in 1 GOL, simply outrageous. Leave one as a sample. Lu Shang casually stuffed the energy crystal into his pocket. Now that he was no longer naked, Lucia found him a clean researcher uniform, which made his temperament calm and somewhat bookish. Lu Shang grabbed a mobile phone on the table and fiddled with it at will. Thank you for waking me from my slumber, Nepson. Lu Shang took a random selfie with his mobile phone, and then sent it to his close friends in the military region far across the ocean. During this year, Lu Shang would occasionally send a few messages to his family through Nepson's hand, because he was afraid that those close to him would be worried. But the text is thin after all, and photos are naturally more convincing. It's my honor, Lord God. Nepson's face was full of piety, but he couldn't help but raised his head and asked, please also tell me your name. Lu Shang. Lu Shang said it casually. He was going to leave anyway, and he didn't care. Huanin has the ability to come to him to ask for money, to see if he can beat Huanin's Wu Shengshi Lu Shang. Nepson repeated the 2 tongue-in-cheek syllables, as if trying to keep them in mind. Lucia, who bowed her head, was full of doubts. So far, she felt that the god that Professor Nepson had resurrected was strange. It's not ancient at all. She even saw the other person taking a selfie with a mobile phone very skillfully just now. Dude, do newly resurrected ancient gods take selfies? Lucia thought wildly. Suddenly, the communicator on her wrist flashed and automatically connected. A voice came from the communicator-Lucia, the Second King Seal Betrayal Organization. Dark Star and the Dark Society joined forces to attack the Golden Circle. All the King Seals and Zonin died in battle. You and Professor Nepson quickly escape. Come on, it's too late. What? With a shrill scream, the voice stopped abruptly. There was a sudden silence in the laboratory. Lucia looked up and found that both Nepson and Lu Shang were looking at her. Dark Star and Black Demon Society join forces to attack Ring Seal? The world's 3 major international terrorist organizations are in conflict, and they start dog bites? When Lu Shang thought about it, his spiritual power radiated like light. It was only 1/1000th of an eyelid, and the entire Golden Circle Island was in his sight. If Lu Shengdong was watching the fire, he immediately found 2 9th-level martial saints standing on the cruise ship watching the battle. The 9th-level martial sage communicated with the general situation of heaven and earth, and it was difficult for Lu Sheng to not notice. In addition, there is a 9th-level martial saint who was rushing towards this side from a faraway place. 3 9th-level martial saints. Lu Sheng's eyes flickered slightly. He urgently needs pressure to promote the fusion and transformation of his spirit and martial body. Now that he sees 3 9th-level martial arts saints, his heart suddenly starts to move. The Golden Circle is about to fall. Nepson was taken aback by the news too. Before, because I was immersed in the joy of Lu Sheng's resurrection, I almost forgot about the sudden sound of the laboratory alarm. Looking back now, only to find that the matter has become so serious and urgent. Nepson's face changed quickly, and Lucia asked nervously from the side, as soon as the adults left, the Second King Seal betrayed, obviously it was premeditated. The people from Dark Star and the Black Demon Society might attack soon. Professor, let's hurry up first. Before leaving, at least take away my research results over the years. Nepson spoke quickly, and his body was about to move. Can be sudden. He stopped and raised his head sharply. Go? Why are we leaving? A strange light flashed in Nepson's eyes, and he turned his head to look in one direction. In that position, a black-haired young man wearing an ordinary researcher's uniform, but unable to hide his peerless demeanor, was watching him quietly. The dark and deep eyes seemed to penetrate his heart and read all the thoughts in his heart. Nepson looked reverent and bowed respectfully. "Pray for the Holy Spirit to save the Golden Circle Island and the ring seal." The black-haired youth spoke calmly. "Nepson, is this your first wish?" "As you wish." He stood up and strode to the door of the laboratory. The door at this time was blocked by a thick alloy protective door. The black-haired youth turned a blind eye. There are invisible fluctuations emanating from him. Please like and subscribe Manga Warehouse for latest updates.